Your golden retriever is communicating with you right now in this moment and has been communicating with you in every interaction you've shared, not in words, not in obvious dramatic signals, in a continuous stream of subtle body language that most owners have learned to look through rather than at. Most of those signals are comfortable and routine, but some of them are telling you something important about discomfort that hasn't become a limp yet, about stress that hasn't become a behavioral problem yet, about a threshold being approached that hasn't been crossed yet. The owners who catch these things early aren't more intuitive than other owners. They learn to look, and once you know what you're looking for, you can't unsee it. I'm Emma. The science of canine body language has developed significantly over the last 30 years, largely through the work of Norwegian trainer Turid Rugaas, who documented a system of communication in dogs she called calming signals. These are specific behaviors dogs use to communicate discomfort, stress, and social intent. Golden retrievers use them constantly. Most of the time, they go completely unnoticed. The complete body language guide with images and context is in the free resource at myfurkid.online golden retriever. Link is in the pinned comment. But let's start with the one that happens most frequently and is most misread. When your golden retriever yawns during a vet visit, during a training session, when a child approaches them, or when you're holding them for nail trimming, they are not tired. Yawning in dogs is a calming signal, a communication tool that indicates stress, discomfort, or the desire to de-escalate a situation they find challenging. It's the canine equivalent of taking a deep breath. It's also easy to dismiss because yawning looks so ordinary, so unimportant. But a dog who yawns repeatedly in a specific context is telling you clearly that context is stressful. A puppy who yawns every time a child reaches for them is providing early information about their comfort level with that interaction. Information that, if ignored consistently, will eventually be communicated less gently. The lip lick is another calming signal that happens so quickly most owners don't notice it. A brief flick of the tongue across the lips in the absence of food. It's the signal, not the lick after eating. It appears in the same context as the yawn, stress, discomfort, mild anxiety. The dog who lip licks while being groomed is telling you they find grooming stressful. The dog who lip licks when meeting a new person is telling you they find that interaction uncertain. These aren't problems requiring immediate intervention. They're information. The dog whose calming signals are noticed and responded to with a pace reduction or a brief break develops a different relationship with this stressful activity over time than the dog whose signals are consistently overridden. For the full reference guide with all calming signals, link is in the pinned comment at myfurkid.online golden retriever. Now here's the one that carries the most clinical significance, and the one most owners completely misread. A golden retriever who refuses to walk down stairs they use to navigate easily is not being stubborn. A dog who flinches when touched along a specific area of their spine is not being dramatic. A dog who suddenly won't lie on one side, who adjusts their position every few minutes, who avoids sitting despite knowing the command, these are pain communications. The dog is telling you something hurts. They don't have the vocabulary for pain in the way humans do. They manage it, avoid the positions and movements that aggravate it, and change their behavior around it. Most owners see these changes as personality shifts, aging, or attitude. They're almost always messages about physical discomfort. The tail wag myth needs to be addressed directly because it causes more misreading than almost any other piece of common knowledge about dogs. A wagging tail does not mean a happy dog. Tail wagging indicates arousal, emotional activation, and the position and quality of the wag determine the message. A loose, full body wag where the hips swing and the entire back end moves is almost certainly a comfortable, happy dog. A high, stiff tail wagging in rapid, tight movements indicates high arousal and possible tension. This is not a relaxed dog. A low, slow wag can indicate uncertainty or appeasement. A golden retriever meeting a new dog with a high, stiff, fast wag is not relaxed. They're aroused and actively assessing the situation. Most owners see any wag and interpret it as friendly. The wag is the word. The position, speed, and stiffness are the tone of voice. Here is the escalation sequence that leads to what owners always describe as a bite that came out of nowhere. A dog communicating discomfort goes through a sequence of increasingly obvious signals before they escalate to a physical response. The full sequence, documented by canine behaviorist Suzanne Clothier, includes calming signals like yawning and looking away, body language like weight shifts and stiff posture, freezing in place, growling, snapping, biting. Most dogs progress through the early signals multiple times before ever reaching a snap. The bite that came from nowhere came from somewhere. It came from a dog whose earlier signals, the yawn, the lip lick, the whale eye, the weight shift backward, the brief freeze, were missed or overridden every time until the dog concluded that softer communication wasn't working and escalated. Golden retrievers are not aggressive dogs, but they are dogs. They will communicate. Whale eye is a specific signal worth knowing by name. When a dog turns their head but keeps their eyes directed forward or slightly averted, the whites of the eyes become visible at the edge, a crescent of white that appears at one side. This is called whale eye, and it indicates discomfort, resource guarding, or threat assessment. It often appears when a dog has something they value, food, a toy, a resting spot, and someone approaches, or when an interaction is happening that the dog finds uncomfortable. In a golden retriever, seeing whale eye around a food bowl when a child approaches their resting space, or during a handling interaction that the dog finds aversive, this is the dog telling you clearly that they're uncomfortable and the situation should change. Dogs also communicate about emotional states through what happens after stressful events, and this one surprises most owners when they understand it. The frantic running in circles that sometimes happens after a vet visit, after a bath, after a particularly overstimulating social interaction, this is emotional release. The dog's nervous system accumulated tension during the stressful event, and the frenetic movement is how the body discharges it. It's not the dog being silly or showing off. It's the nervous system resetting. Understanding this reframes the behavior from playful to informative. The events that consistently trigger post-event zoomies are events the dog found genuinely challenging. That information is worth having. There's a specific type of communication that owners often inadvertently punish: the dog seeking space. A golden retriever who moves away from an interaction, puts furniture between themselves and a person, leaves the room when specific people enter, or consistently orients away when touched in a certain area is making a request. They're asking for space or expressing a preference. The most common owner response is to follow the dog, to continue the interaction, or to interpret the avoidance as an opportunity to work on the dog's tolerance. What this teaches the dog is that softer requests don't produce results. The dog either escalates to more obvious communication or gives up on asking. Dogs who have learned that asking doesn't work are dogs who communicate primarily by tolerating until they don't. Here is what to do when you start seeing these signals. When you observe a calming signal, a yawn, a lip lick, a look away, in a specific context, pause or slow the interaction down. You don't need to stop it entirely. Just acknowledge it. When you observe consistent avoidance of a specific touch area or position, schedule a vet visit before that changes further. When you see whale eye or a freeze during an interaction, end the interaction. Don't try to push through it. The dog is telling you they've reached a threshold. What you do at that threshold determines whether they trust you to listen. And trust, built through consistently hearing what your dog is already saying, is the foundation of everything that works in this relationship. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you next week.